Hello, everyone. Do you want to, if we gave an award for the first person to sign up, do you want to know who that first person is?
Yeah, who was the first person?
Liz Rice was the
Of
first person
course.
to sign up for a morning with Hola.
Liz, you inspire me every day. And Liz is also sort of, I have dubbed Liz my unofficial publicist.
Oh, working hard behind the scenes or in front of the
Yeah.
scenes?
Well, she shares my newsletter every week. Don't think I
Oh,
don't notice. And and
Yes.
really supports other writers and brings them into the family. If there's one thing I can tell you, everyone, is you're coming in, come say hi, say where you are in the chat, say hello, that you are family. You know, this writing community lifts us all, and in the most profound and helpful way.
well, let's jump in. We have people still coming in. We have 78 of our closest friends right now, and I know that number will continue to grow. The attendees should be able to now chat with everyone. Trina, thanks for posting that in the Q&A. We do tend to delay that right at the start and then engage that once we see people coming in on a regular basis. So now we will answer the call of Sarah, who said, please say good morning to me in the chat, and look at them all now,
Look
Sarah.
at them.
Thanks.
Hello.
So I'll start with my own good morning and welcome. We're so glad you're here. Folks are still joining, and they'll probably join for about the next 5 minutes. I hope you'll take a deep breath with us this morning, gather your writing materials along with you because we will be writing. And as Sarah said, hellos in the chat are always a sense of hope and community. This is a morning with whole novel. Sarah, we haven't done a morning gather in such a long time. I was really excited to spread this one out in the morning. And yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think that the Gather program is emblematic of highlights. Boyds Mills. Um, thanks. Sorry. Um, for so many reasons. Is one is we are a community that thrives on discussion and learning and sharing and acknowledging one another. And when we do, when you acknowledge another writer or another artist, you are boosting them and showing them that this can happen for them and that they do belong and that their story matters. And when we do that across ethnicities and identities and communities, we all benefit. And that's why I'm so proud to be part of this.
Well, great. Well, we're happy to have you here. There's a lot going on in the world right now. So we're going to take an hour here. We're going to set it aside. We're going to get to listen to more of Sarah, which is always nourishing. And this morning is made for novelists. I'll just go over a few things if this is the first time you've come to a gather with us. As a gather, we cannot see your video, we cannot hear your audio during the session, but as we've already noted, we can see what you post in the chat and we can see any questions that you put in the Q&A feature. This is a special one. I said the morning is special about it, but also Sarah noted this as well. It's the first time during a gather we get to use our new name in the gather setting. And I love the cozy feel of a gather. I love the inspiration that comes from them. This is just about a week into our shift from the Highlights Foundation to Boyds Mills. And if you haven't already taken a look at video that our executive director, George Brown, put together, I'll place that in the chat later so you can take a look at that. George, how excited are you for our first gather with our new name?
Oh, Allison, I love it. I'm thrilled. This is a great fun to be here. And you mentioned a morning gather, right? Like Sarah started these gathers with us in the very early days of COVID in like March, April 2020. So just experiencing lots of fond kind of memories and thoughts of where we've been in the past 6 years, Sarah. It's been cool to have you be
Do
such
you
a
know
part
when
of it.
George, when I made that call to you and Allison about wanting to do the gathers, that I was anticipating that COVID would last 3 whole weeks. And I couldn't imagine being alone in my apartment for 3 whole weeks without
Right.
other people. I called myself the extrovert in exile.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we welcome uh, you here under Boyds Mills. And if you haven't read about the name change, I think the main thing to say is that we are in no way changing the care that we provide to writers and illustrators, to our storytellers, especially those focused on writing for kids and teens. And I think that that is the most powerful takeaway from the change that we've made in the past week. So, whether you're here online with us or if you come visit us in Boyds Mills at our retreat center, um, we have a mission, and our mission is to positively impact children by amplifying the voices of storytellers who inform, educate, and inspire children to become their best selves. And our job, I know Sarah believes this, is to take care of you, storyteller, so that you can take care of your stories and your readers. We do this by asking for respectful engagement, and we hope that you'll join us today with no hate, no harm, and no harassment of any kind. Today's gathering is called A Morning with Whole Novel because many people have asked, but what does it feel like at the retreat center during Whole Novel? What does it feel like? And I would say only second to that would be, how do I bring that feeling home with me after the whole novel experience? That last morning, Sarah, you're nodding, but that last morning, the last time that we gather for breakfast, we're all kind of trying to hold on to what those mornings feel like. And so this morning, this gather is our very small way of offering just a taste of that, wherever you are, wherever you've tuned in from. And we couldn't craft morning gather about whole novel without inviting who I like to call our whole novel historian. She's also the teacher and facilitator among us, Sarah Aronson. For those of you who don't know Sarah, I'm not sure how. I feel like Sarah gets her way around the children's book universe pretty far and wide. She's a gifted author and teacher. Equal parts, Sarah's going to give you advice on what you're working on and talk to you about the struggles or realities she's facing in her own writing. And it's this balance of feeling seen as a storyteller and also knowing that you're going to grow in her presence. I feel that way when we sit down together at the breakfast table on a morning at Whole Novel. And even in the green room when we were waiting to launch this, Sarah was talking about her work and asking about my work. And she's always just so generous when it comes to that. I would say that one of the main things Sarah loves to do is have big ideas. And so we're on a gather today, and the gather, big Sarah Aronson idea, whole novel, these morning changes. I'll talk a little bit about how the whole novel changed in the mornings, and that was a big idea from Sarah. And I'm going to share my screen here because Sarah had one more recent big idea, and Sarah's most recent big idea was to raise funds for one more whole novel scholarship at Boyds Mills. And afterwards, I'll talk a little bit about what we know the facts are about people coming in and applying for scholarships when it comes to the whole novel versus what we've been able to offer. But just look at, we're getting to that big book at the end. $3,000 will get us a scholarship to the whole novel to add to our 2026 scholarship drive this year. And I think Sarah's done quite a remarkable job so far. She's given us a taste, and today is just another taste of that. If you are in a position that you can contribute, $10 will get us a long way, especially we have 100 people on the call right now. We have 200 people who signed up, and we'll have countless people watching after the fact. So we would appreciate that on behalf of our team at Boyds Mills and on behalf of Sarah's efforts as well. I'm also happy to put the link in the chat to that goes directly to Sarah's appeal form. And it's a strange looking link, but it's a good one. Before moving into the writing, I do want to invite Sarah into the conversation. I can tell, can you tell she's just holding everything back? She has things she wants to say. I would say, Sarah, can you just share briefly before we get to our writing what you think makes the mornings special at Whole Novel?
Thanks, Allison. Thank you, George. I love Whole Novel, and it's an honor for me to talk about it. What makes the morning special is that everyone knows that one of the best parts about Whole Novel is you get your whole novel read by a master teacher who understands revision and story and structure and will honor your heart and what you love most about your story. Everybody knows that. And that in itself is a gift for all writers. But what you may not know about Whole Novel is that we actually prepare you in many different ways for a lifetime of writing and publishing. And part of that is the proliferation and growth of our morning program. And that morning program, which begins sometimes with just a prompt, but more often with a mini lecture like I'm going to give you today, and a prompt and some writing time, shows you how to play and how to be spontaneous and how to generate words on the page. Maybe it'll be like a lightning rod and it will fit right into your book and it will feel so substantive. Or maybe it's writing that will support your writing, your writer heart off to the side and will get you ready to make more words. Or sometimes it gives some people a new idea. That happened to me at the last one. Thank you, Sharon G. Flake. That writing begets writing. And so this spontaneous morning gets you used to what you're going to do the rest of the year, which is sit down, open your computer or your notebook, and put words on the page. If you're not yet following my newsletter, that's what you get every Monday morning. Sorry for the self-promo. Is a little bit on the writing life and a little prompt to get you started. What we hope you will leave with when Whole Novel is done is that ability to sit down and feel confident about your work, to know that your story has an audience waiting for you and that you have something to say. And these mornings help you really drive home what you want to say and how you want to say it.
I love that. I'm so glad that you brought up Sharon's session. I can thank one of these morning prompts, Aaron and Trotta Kelly. You probably remember the mini lecture and prompt. It began the revision of the book that came out this fall for me. It was these are the part of the mornings at Whole Novel. You're getting ready to head into your brain trust, so you know you're going to have the ability to talk about fears and to talk about moving forward. So you can set that aside because you have that. And then you have someone in front of you who says, we're going to do it together. We're all going to be writing. And there's kind of a hum in the barn as it's happening. And so you're setting your fears aside and you're in the moment of creativity. And there is something about that intentionality that allows you to create in that short amount of time. So again, today we're going to try and kind of let's pretend that brain trust follows this. Let's pretend we're going to set any creative fears, any revision fears aside during this time. We're going to be in the moment. We're going to set those intentions. We're going to have some joy in our writing and flow. That's what I love about those mornings. There's a real flow to them.
It's also that with the help of Alison and George, we've been able to create an amazing faculty that writes in different ways. So sometimes that morning approach may feel completely foreign to you. and may feel like, well, I don't write like that, but you got to play and you got to try, and maybe you learn something. And sometimes that writer will do things just the way you do them, and it will feel like reinforcement. When we learn from people who write in different ways, who have different pedagogies, we expand our own experience with writing, and maybe getting into that little bit of an uncomfortable feeling will be just what you need to figure out what your story needs.
Mhm. Oh, I love it. All right.
All right.
Enough preamble. It's time for Sarah Aronson. We're at the morning, at full novel. We're ready to create. Sarah, we will turn things right over to you.
Here we go. Now, I hope everyone can see my screen. This is how this has been the year of Superman for me. I've just finished a picture book on Christopher Reeve, and this quote has actually been part of my presentation since the very beginning, since my very first whole novel in 2008. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible. Then they seem improbable. And then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. So I ask all of you, my family, my friends, writers, novelists, summon the will. Take a deep breath. Know that you can do this work. You have something to say. And we're going to help you find a way to say it. So, welcome to this little bit of the whole novel retreat. We have just eaten breakfast. Our stomachs are full. We have our beverages, and we are ready to get creative. And today, my mini lecture is going to be about something that more writers that I speak to every day worry about as an obstacle to being ready for the whole novel. And that is this feeling of stuck. And feeling stuck, we can use lots of different words for that. It can be fear. Is this worth it? It can be dread. Can I do this? It can be, what if the person reading it doesn't understand who I am? It can be, I don't understand the feedback. What do I do? Stuck happens at different places and at different times. And today we're going to talk about how to get out of it. Every writer gets stuck at every stage too. At the blank page, during reimagination, when they have a draft, when they are looking for an ending. I'd like today to be the first day that we reframe this word stuck and this feeling of doubt and think about, can we re-see doubt as an opportunity for growth, for development, for story, for our own hearts? My first tip, change your mindset. When you come to the whole novel, we don't expect you to know everything. We don't even expect your manuscript to be polished. We really actually love it when you have questions, when you know what you love about your book and you're not sure how to make that even better. So right now, I want you to change your mindset to I don't know, from I don't know to I don't know yet. And again, see that as an opportunity. If you don't know yet, you can go on a lost and found journey of looking for those things that are going to make your story better. They can be a far reach that might not work. They can be logical. They can come from the characters, and what we'll talk about in a little bit, they can come from you. Tip number 2, when you come to whole novel, we fire our internal editors. That voice that says, this chapter is bad, or I no longer have a plot, or there is no way even my mother will read this. Or that character wouldn't do that. What do? I don't know. I'm throwing it away. Why did I start this? We're going to fire that editor. We're going to put that voice away in a tight jar with a lid and seal it and stick it away. Because all of us, whether we are Newbery winners or first-time novelists, before we can write a great story, we are going to write a sloppy, terrible, really crappy story. Okay? Everyone, I just finished a rough draft. It's terrible. So what? I'm going to make it better because now, thanks to Whole Novel, I have tools. Writing always begets writing. So sometimes firing your internal editor means, oh, maybe I'm going to try writing this in a different point of view. Or what if I play around with this and put the ending at the beginning? All your questions have answers and possibilities and solutions. Tip number 3, it's okay to take a break. It's also okay right now in our world to take a break from the noise. No apologies are necessary. What we are playing is a long game. So if you are feeling anxious about your manuscript, Heidi Stempel would take a shower. Gia Gordon does something creative. You should visit her site. Oh my goodness, she paints furniture and does all sorts of stuff. Lots of writers I know go for a walk. These days, I like to try fast writing as fast as I can. I actually take my glasses off so I can't even see it, and I write as fast as I can. I am also the person who suggests taking on a peach sorbet, a secondary project that is just for you, that will just delight you, that you have no intention of sharing. When we have that kind of project, that can get us going again and help us feel more confident. Because what I have found at Whole Novel is that confidence through community, confidence through sharing, confidence through discussion and brainstorming in that brain trust helps us find new avenues and new answers to all of our novel questions. How much time are you giving yourself for each step of the process? Are your own expectations creating a feeling of stuck? Can you honor the way you do your writing, the way you feel the most excited, the parts of your novel you love the most? Jennifer Jacobson, who has taught at the Whole Novel, one year talked about slow writing and how we always honor fast and momentum when we should also be honoring slow and the effort it takes to find the right details. Please honor yourself in this process. No apologies necessary. You have a permission slip from me to be as creative, slow, or fast as you'd like. Last tip, add you. This is the thing I really wanted to talk about today. When I am feeling unsure of my manuscript, I go back to the beginning and I think about why it is so important for me to write this novel, what I have to say, and what I want my readers to think about when they have finished reading my book. Remember, our readers are young minds, young hearts, and there is no greater mission than filling those minds and hearts with hope and intellect and excitement and possibilities. So when I think about adding myself, I say, what do I want to say in this story? What is important to me? So right now, jot it down. What is it that you want to say in your book right now? What is that you're writing right now? What is important to you? And then, what do you love most in your story? When I'm feeling stuck, I love going back to the scenes that came easily, the scenes I knew I wanted to write. Sometimes I even write out of order. because I know there's a scene out there that I've got to write, and I go there next. I think about that feeling of confidence that comes when you know you're saying something important to you. And then again, what do you want kids to talk about when they are done reading? This comes from you, because books are stories, books are adventures, books are sad, happy, true, scary, fantastical. But books, more than anything else, are a conversation starter. And so, what you want kids to be talking about is that introduction to that conversation that begins with you and your heart. So, think about that heart. I find these things by doing something called side writing, which is what all these mornings are about at the whole novel. Usually, I start with backstory. So, again, take out that notebook. Think about the book you are writing right now. Where did you find your story? Where did you stumble on it? And what was happening in the world when you found that story? All of my stories have started with some sort of cosmic inspiration, a realization, something I see either in a coffee shop, three old men chatting and complaining, to a friend complaining about menopause, to somebody wondering about Schadenfreude, to what it means to be a hero. All of those ideas came to me when I was open to receiving inspiration. So think about that moment for you. Where did you find your story? Why were you open to that inspiration? What rang true for you? And what about the world we live in right now, inspired and encouraged you to sit down and write something in your notebook or on your computer? How did you find that character? I continue to add myself to the story by thinking about what Ruta Sepetys calls the 4 H's. I look for memories that bolster my reasons for writing this story, and look for memories that are connected to different emotions, like heartbreak. When did you first feel heartbreak? That might help you find a heart in that scene or story that you are working on. Or hilarity. What's the funny story you tell about yourself? The first memory that you have that makes you laugh at yourself. How can that contribute to your scene? Humiliation. This one's an easy one for me. I have lots of examples of this, and that helps me get to that lowest moment in my novel where I know that my character is suffering and has to gear up and get ready to try one more time. I want those moments to be authentic and vulnerable and real. I want my readers to think, yeah, she knows what that feels like. That character understands how I feel, and together we're going to climb out of that. So think about that, that memory that you have of humiliation, and mine that memory for the details, the specific details, and maybe objects that can make that scene feel more real. And last, hope. Of course, that's our ultimate mission, to give young people hope. It has to be in the book somewhere. That hope is going to help us anticipate and turn pages and read for more. So remember when you once felt hope, when you started something big based on hope, based on your dream, based on how you were feeling in a moment when you were young. Last, I want to ask all of you today to break a rule because sometimes that is how we put ourselves on the page. I always like to remind myself of an old teacher of mine who used to say, yeah, writing spontaneously is like going on a blind date naked, and you have to do it to reveal who you are in that story. So instead of playing it safe, if you're going to share yourself, I'm going to ask you to channel Caleb Williams from the Bears, who ran all the way back, even though I was screaming, "What are you doing, Caleb?" And he threw a Hail Mary, and the receiver caught it for a touchdown, sending the game into overtime. Go deep, okay? Go for it. If you're going to go on a blind date naked, you're going there anyway. So take that chance. Go back to those 4-H's and share them. And while you're doing that, break another rule. Writing doesn't have to be painful, it can be delightful. So delight yourself, dare yourself, write what makes you happy. One of the lessons that I got from 2025 is that when I prioritize myself and my story, when I write to delight myself first, I have no problems putting the words on the page. I have no problem finding chapters and logic and structure and new ideas and new characters that make my main character's journey more difficult when I am amusing myself. So I want all of you listening. This is the year we're throwing it in. We are going for it. We are not holding back. We are going to write our hearts and we're going to put them on the page. We're going to share what is important to us. We are going to make sure that kids see that there is hope in this world because we are showing them how to get it, okay? Through our characters. Are we there? Do you feel my energy? They call me the book bubby, and I carry pom poms and a magic wand sometimes, but mostly the pom poms. So that is my mini lecture. Today's prompt, I want you to go to that scene that you loved writing. Open your computer or just think about it, whatever it is. And I want you to do what Louise Hawes used to call a cluster exercise. And I want you to write down all the words that of why you love that scene. How are you in that scene? Who are you in that scene? And when you've done that, when you've filled a page of writing, of a page with lots of words, I want you to write the next scene that comes right after that scene that you love, because you're going to put yourself into that scene. Are you ready? Let's write.
quietly interrupt. Hopefully, nobody's jumping from their screen as you're finishing up some notes there. Sarah, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I'd love to invite those who are on the call with us if they had any ahas or surprises. I had a mega surprise when I started writing. Um, a moment of connection. If you want to place that in the chat, we'd love to see it. One word, one sentence is perfect. And Sarah, as people are sharing, I wanted to ask, sorry, Sabrina. Sabrina did jump a little bit. It's to me too when I come out of a writing sprint. Um, as people are sharing, I know that you have a response to this because I can't think of a response about creativity that you wouldn't have. But why do you think these, like you captured that your mini lecture was about 12 minutes? We wrote for about 10 minutes. What is it about that that matters so much for novelists? What is it about I mean, these are short bursts. Why does that matter?
I think that for short bursts, we lose our expectations, our perfectionist syndrome, our desire to get it right away, to lean on product, because it's on the side. That's what I like about side writing. It doesn't matter, it doesn't count. So I can be more honest, more free, more direct. What I ended up writing was something so much more direct than what I had originally envisioned in my manuscript. And like, that's exciting to see what my intent is and what I know my character and I are feeling at that moment.
Mm. Look at if you have a chance, I mean, looking at the chat, people are populating some things. One of the pieces that's on there, it's going much faster now. Judy, hi Judy. I'm glad you're here. I also wrote about power. I wrote about I maybe it was Sarah starting us with Superman or something, but I was writing about fame and whether it's okay to actually seek out fame, and it had a little something to do with it. And I was thinking about being
Yeah.
powerful and being powerless. So there's a lot of ahas and surprises in here, and I love that. And during that whole novel morning, what will end up happening is after we've all written and these ideas are kind of flowing, we take off. We take off in different directions where we go to our brain trust and we're talking about what those surprises were and those
That's right.
were.
I, I think too is that when we're doing this kind of writing, we lose our inhibitions a little bit because our expectations are different. It's private. Like sometimes when you know you have to share something, that can be, you write differently than when you're writing just for yourself. When was the last time you indulged yourself that way? When you thought, I'm just going to journal? I began with the Julia Cameron system. Um, and now my morning pages sometimes are drawings, or I do the Linda Berry spiral to just get myself going. I also think that writing in the notebook, as opposed to the screen, generates some other sort of connection that I can't really explain or identify, except that this is where I have epiphanies.
Mhm.
I have epiphanies when the pen is on the page. I have epiphanies when I am not shuffling words, when I am reimagining and letting myself just find out what can happen. That cluster exercise, anytime you're stuck from here on out, the question, who are you, can be a great way to get yourself off that, oh no, I'm going to start writing, to, oh yeah, I am writing. Because it starts easy. When I ask myself, who are you at first? I'm a writer, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a woman, I'm a daughter. Easy. Then I get a little bit deeper. Then I get a little bit deeper. And And when I'm getting completely vulnerable is when I can make that shift and find that heart in my story. So I do that exercise a lot for my characters as well as myself.
I love that. And it harkens back to your I don't know yet. It's
Yeah,
like any of those times that we're, moving forward, in what we're going from what we do know. I do know who I am, and I'm
yeah,
opening it up, to what I
that's
don't know
right.
yet
That's right.
about the story. Yeah.
And think if you were doing that like as improv and how much
Mhm.
scarier it would be if you were having to say who you are to a person that here we're so private that we can be so open and so much more relaxed in just sort of in our confessions.
And also, I mean, I think my friend Linda will always be like, well, that every character I create is a little bit me, and often people will say that. The exercise here that I love is that you're looking at what's showing up in the scene, and the scene can be very different than character. And I like that question too. Um, because you're talking about who you are, but then you're also looking at scene and you're looking at what shows up
Right.
about you or about what makes you you in that space.
Yeah, I agree with Linda that, my soul is in a lot of the characters. My opinions find their way to the characters and the objects and the setting around them. But they don't become fully realized until they sort of, I don't know, grow up and separate a little bit and say, actually, Sarah, you're not all that. And we actually have something a little bit more to say than what you
Yeah.
originally anticipated. Thank you very much. Now let us just do this. And that like when that happens, then when your characters are speaking, that's really too when we can reimagine, not force ourselves on our characters, that wouldn't be nice, but to look and see how they reflect some of those inner feelings that we have expressed on the page.
I call that. So I think that you can relate to this. I like to be in control of situations an awful lot.
Really?
And I talk about actually letting go of my character's hand. I don't know if you've ever grown, had a child and this child is growing. And, there are times when you get out of the car and you're like so used to grabbing that hand and we walk across the street together. And then it's asking if I can grab the hand, but let's still walk across the street together. And then you're watching them walk across the street. And so
Yeah.
for me, it's like, I'm holding on to it sometimes so closely and saying, this is me, this is who I am in this character. And then that character is letting go of my hand really and kind of going off on their own in the story. And I think that's important. Brittany asked a question in the Q&A that said, do you think there's a difference between finding parts that are you versus just picking favorite lines? And I think that,
Yeah, I
speaks to it a
think
little
that
bit.
those favorite lines illuminate who you are. And sometimes those favorite lines for me end up being darlings that I have to go. So sad. But but those lines that we have confidence that we love writing, those chapters that we have loved writing. Notice I didn't say, what's the best chapter you have written?
Mhm.
I didn't say, what's the worst chat, like the lowest moment you have written. It's the one you loved writing. And in those moments where we are filled with joy and indulging ourselves, that's when those lines will emerge. They will help show us what our books are about. In between, here's a bonus prompt for everyone. In between each draft, I write a letter to myself from my main character or characters, and I let them tell me what I did well and where I fell short. And that always giving the microphone to my characters. Sometimes I write that. Sometimes I'll turn on my recorder and I'll rant for 5 minutes, which is really, really hard that to keep talking as your character for 5 minutes. I will always find that as my character, there are things that my character notices that I haven't. And that's where that character has let go of my hand a bit and said, okay, kid, Sarah,
Okay, kid.
as my dad used to say, give me a little serendipity. And
Well, I mean, what an enjoyable morning with you. I did want to share a little for you being my whole novel historian. I wanted to share a little bit of context as to the scholarship piece. And I can speak to my involvement with the whole novel since 2011. There have always been scholarships for the whole novel. There have always been payment plans for the whole novel. It is the course, Boyds Mills, that requires the most financial investment. And it rightly so. You have, as you said, a faculty member reading the whole novel and offering these editorial letters that, I mean, sometimes can be upwards of 9, 10 pages. And then that discussion, that deep discussion throughout the week, that's a part of the brain trust, but also a part of the breakfast table. It's a part of walking from the barn down to the swing, or heading across the bridge and listening to the creek, and somebody's there saying, you know what this made me think of when it came to your story. So it's a large investment. There's a lot of reward to it. I have been to whole novel classes where one person has been awarded a scholarship. And I've been to others like this past August where we had 7 people on full or partial scholarships. And we're about to launch our scholarship season here at Boyds Mills. Tomorrow launches our call for scholarships for 2026. Um, and so I took a look at last year's 2025 call for scholarships and a little bit of data. There were 123 people who applied for the whole novel scholarships. We were lucky to have 4 general scholarships from Boyds Mills, and we had 2 scholarships from donor or Jewish Voices. We had 1 scholarship from Gary and Susan Wheeler's fund, and then we were able to use 2 scholarships from our Doris Duke fund. So we had a good year last year. That addressed 7% of people who were seeking support for the whole novel. It is probably the most requested scholarship need. Um, and it's for people who really have gotten to serious level with their manuscript, with their drafts. We talked to the Wheelers. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
We started with this idea of big ideas, and scholarship, a novel is a big idea. Writing a novel is a big idea. Running a retreat is a big idea. My big, big, big idea is that nobody pays for a whole novel, that we raise money for scholarships so that if you are ready, and you are ready, if you are ready to trust, and if you are ready to dig deep, and if you are ready to find yourself in your story, and if you are ready to build a community and be part of a community, because what makes whole novel amazing are the people who come and share themselves, is that we want to take the obstacles away. Money is an obstacle of growth. And my biggest dream of all is that I would like this to be fully funded.
Well, that's probably the ideal state for all of our programs,
Yeah.
right? And particularly the whole novel. The Wheelers, who I had mentioned before, they have 1 whole novel. They're adding a second this year. And when we sat down to talk to them about why it's important, they were looking for investing in a sense of community and care at the level that the whole novel gives. And they were specifically talking about people who are navigating this a new chapter in when it comes to writing for kids and teens. And I love that. And I love what you just shared. Your vision is bigger, and you're saying, and this is going to be the first part to it. So I'm going to share this screen one more time, I'm going to give you a little update too, Sarah, because you know what I like to share with you? I like to share good news with you, Sarah Aronson.
I
Um,
love good
this
news.
this is a free gathering. If you're in a position to give $10, we would love to be able to add that to Sarah's call for raising for scholarship funds. Now, this image was made, Sarah, yesterday, and I used it this morning. And I am not a dynamic enough Canva creative to be able to show you that since this was made, the fund is actually up to $2,200. So we
That's
are
great.
moving closer and closer to having a fully funded scholarship from your fund raising here. And I really, really appreciate that. To all of you who've been able to contribute, and contributing is showing up today too and sharing with us the energy in the chat. It's hard to describe, even for people who like to write down words. It's hard to describe the energy that's given back when you're creating with fellow creatives, because the energy that was in there makes you want to turn back to your story and create for kids too. And one of the things you shared earlier, Sarah, was about us making this the year we're going to show kids that there's hope, because we're going to put it all in. We're going to put it all out there in our stories. That doesn't happen unless we gather together and we hear from one another and we see one another's stories coming together. Like, that's a real sense of hope that is there. So the heart of the whole novel is community. And I don't want to end with a QR code up here on the screen asking for funds. Instead, I would just say, Sarah, what what do you want to leave us with today, before we hop off this gather?
I want to leave you with the power of community and the gratitude that I feel to everyone at Boyds Mills. First, George's dad, Kent Brown, whose vision created this beautiful place where people could learn, where we could be nurtured and share our ideas. Gratitude to George and Alison for giving me the greatest gift of all time, to be in family and concert with all of you. And gratitude toward you and your stories. We need your stories. This world needs stories. Our kids need stories. And we are going to make them. This is all of our dream. We all dream of having a book on the shelf that a kid can pick up and learn, discover, get excited about, and go and do something really amazing afterwards. So let's make that dream come true in 2026 and beyond, by supporting the whole novel, by calling friends, telling them about it, applying. Please apply and plead for a scholarship. And please, if you have questions, I have no boundaries. Please email me. I will answer your questions. I believe in this work. I believe in community. I believe that when we all give generously, we all receive. So big hugs, friends. Let's get to writing. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today.
Oh, Sarah, thank you. I hope everyone takes the hope and the gentleness. The real gentleness, real like warmness this morning into the rest of your day, into the year ahead. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, take care of your stories. We hope to see you all again soon, maybe even at the whole novel retreat. We would love to have you there. George, any parting words for us before we sign off?
Fantastic. Sarah, thank you. It's been a pleasure to spend the morning with you. Really enjoyed it.
As always, mutual.
Thank you all.
Bye,
Be
all.
safe.
Have a great day.